Yeah, so we literally just go, touch on everything, really. Easy
Okay.
peasy. Your experience of the thing, how you guys annihilated me start of the year. It was start this year.
Was it this year?
Maybe even last year, you know.
It was, it would have been a year ago now, because I just stopped when we started works in the house.
Yeah. And then
Still time to get back into it, mate.
Yes, 100%. There is. You're right. There is. I just literally need to
think of every excuse quickly.
It was so tough, because I remember you went for it, and then we haven't done nothing since. I even started jiu-jitsu a little bit as well, and everything got put on hold purely because the builder kept saying, "You need to pay for this now. You need to pay for this now. You need to pay for this now."
Yeah.
It's just like, but that's how easy your health gets put on. I know you've gone for a run. What's free?
Yeah,
that's
it.
Treadmill not even used, but we just literally got that back in. I've got to pick the Peloton up.
I was gonna say, you've not got Peloton treads, you just got bikes.
Both.
Your
bike. The tread. I've actually got 3 bikes now because we bought 2 for when we went round with Network Rail doing that bike challenge.
That's so good.
Cool.
But they're just sitting. He's got one at his house sitting there doing nothing, and Craig.
Do you not use it? Oh my god!
Oh, that's so
I
good, mate.
literally love it.
Yeah.
But do you do any exercise?
Yeah.
I don't talk about exercise. I went High Rocks. I went High Rocks the weekend.
Did High Rocks the other day.
Did not shut up about it.
Competition?
Yeah, Hamburg.
How'd it go?
It was fucking tough.
How long?
1 hour 27.
Okay. Because Jess is getting into it now. She's done it with athletics. She's
Challenge accepted.
She's going to get like an hour and 4 minutes. Ridiculous.
Sub-hour, I was hoping. But
wow. Okay.
Really? Come on.
Okay.
Better offender.
Hi, bro.
Are you going to go for it?
Yes, I am. I am definitely. I've tried to rope my sister Molly into doing it also doubles.
Cool, we'll come on to that actually. We'll come on to it.
Yeah, love it.
Good.
Yeah.
We'll roll him. Hello and welcome to the podcast. I'm not going to say the episodes because I was talking about someone yesterday and he said, "Can we just squeeze in and do something?" So we're not going to say the episode numbers. This could be 4, 5, or 25. Depends where we want to put you in the pecking order. But welcome. Thank you for coming in. Putnam and Jess Tappin. Athletes, and now business ventures as well, isn't it? In that world,
Correct.
So where did it all start, guys? In the athletics world, talk to us about what. Tell us what you do now. What is it you're up to? What's going on in the world of athletics? In the world of Jess and Dan.
Go on, you lead.
Yeah. Okay. So we're both now in our early to mid 30s, which is actually quite old to be in like an elite sprinter in athletics. Usually, like sort of the higher the intensity of the sport, the lower the peak age.
Yeah.
So like when you get into your 30s, you're sort of seen as either sort of going on the downward spiral or thinking about retirement, that kind of stuff. So what's been really good for Jess and myself is that we've actually run all of our best times and put our best performances together since turning 30, which is kind of like the anomaly.
Goes against the grain.
Yeah, against the grain, yeah. So obviously, like, we've picked up quite a lot of traction because we've both been in the sport for a long time, and essentially underperformed when we should have been at our peak.
Mm-hmm.
So like people knew our names, but probably not for necessarily the right reasons. But now they know us because we're the guys who are sort of putting down the performances and beating like the 18, 19-year-old prodigies. Yeah. And then you got these like 34-year-olds turning up and just beating them. So
it's so interesting, isn't it?
Yeah.
And the both of you are doing it together.
Yeah.
That's incredible, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, I think.
What are you eating together?
I know. Well, I think the main thing for us
is it
like,
since? Well, say it because you are. Has it been since you've been engaged as well?
My extra bit of bling.
Yeah.
No, I think since COVID.
Engaged 10 years too late, Jess.
Jesus, take your time. Since COVID though, like we're based up in Loughborough in the East Midlands, paying our rent in our little apartment up there, and we saw everyone going into lockdown around in the other countries. So I was like, Dan, pack your bags, we're going back. So we went back to my family's, which they've got like we live in the middle of nowhere, so we got loads of ground and hills and stuff where we can go run around in rather than being stuck in a little apartment. Anyway, when we started training there, and I was like, what's the point in paying all our rent up in Loughborough, being in this bubble away from all our friends and family, where yes, it was a nice place, but we'd been there for so long, hadn't we? Yeah. And I needed my friends and my family around me a lot more, and we live like 3 hours away from home. Anyway, moving back, training was going really well, wasn't it?
Yeah, really well.
So since that, we moved back to Essex, and I think just finding not just the love for the sport, but having that good environment around you has really helped us. And I think being happy in athletics, but also in life, that's helped, don't you think?
Yeah, I think like you sort of hit the nail on the head with the fact that in Loughborough you've got the facilities and everything else is like 10 out of 10. But the actual like way of life around it is like a 0.
Yeah.
Because like Jess said, you haven't got your friends around you, you haven't got family around you. Essentially you're there to train and just to train.
Yeah.
And that sort of work-life balance was never there for us. And as a result, we both sort of fell out of love with the sport, but we were still both doing it because we knew we could do better, but the environment we was in wasn't allowing us to do better.
Yeah.
It's amazing, isn't it, when you think?
Yeah.
The most crude way of saying it, running 100 metres in that environment and running 100 metres at home in that environment, and suddenly it's two different athletes.
How? How can it be so different? Yeah.
It just shows, and that's not just in a sporting environment, but like in any sort of working environment.
Life, yeah.
If you're happy in your setup and you're relaxed and you're enjoying it, you're likely to thrive.
Yeah.
Whereas obviously in other scenarios, you're just basically trying to survive.
Do you find it as well? I know, talking from the rugby world, when you get into the 30s, you'll get the players who might not be as whippy and snappy anymore, like you're saying, but they are just got the brains in it. They understand the game a little bit more, and they can the little tricks in life, isn't it? Really, play a part in that kind of sport.
Absolutely, I think having that experience, the knowledge, I think can massively benefit you. It depends on what kind of player you are.
Yeah,
like
100%. Yeah,
if you rely on your speed, maybe not.
yeah.
As you're getting older.
Well, yeah, it's normally second rows. I think like the big boys, and they can trudge around the field a bit. They're not the speedy ones.
That's it.
The brains.
Yeah, they can sort of read the game. They know where to be and when to be there. I mean, yeah, in athletics, that's very true. Like, there's always that 10,000 hour rule. Have you heard that before?
Oh, yeah, we got trained.
So it's essentially roughly 10,000 hours sort of master something.
Yep.
So obviously with the age that we're at now, we've surpassed that 10,000 hours.
Yeah.
Not that it's like strict, but essentially you learn a lot more mentally than you do physically.
Yeah.
By the time you get to this age. So if your body is still capable of hitting those good performances, your mind can facilitate that a lot better.
Yeah.
And I feel like, since we've sort of started performing, it's not necessarily that we're in the best physical shape we've ever been in. I'd probably say that maybe in like 2014, 2015, I was arguably in slightly better physical shape, but mentally I'm sort of 10 times the person I was back then.
Yeah.
And that like makes so much difference in terms of your performance, because you learn how to produce these performances under pressure in these environments where it really matters.
And it's knowing your body as well, isn't it? When to put in that performance, isn't it? Because if you're training all week, I think in the longer term, rugby or football, you can probably hide it a bit because you've got teammates around you, haven't you? But when you've got a short window to perform, it's how do you not burn yourself out during the week?
Yeah, and I think with training with each other rather than having a coach on the outside, I think we have learned to listen to our bodies so much more. So when you need to have like a bit more of a rest day or taper or whatever it may be. Do you agree with me on that?
Yeah, so I think when we both had coaches in the past, the coaches are very much like they'll write a 6-week program and then they'll
stick to it.
They'll stick to that regardless of how you feel. If you've got like a little issue, say you've got a little hamstring issue and there's a speed session on that day, you'll still have to do that speed session because they've written it down on a piece of paper. Whereas now, like...
And you're also made, if you didn't do it...
To feel bad about it,
that you failed. And you're missing, you're losing out.
Yeah, 100%. So like I coached myself since 2019 and then started coaching Jess since just before COVID.
Yeah.
And we was a lot more relaxed I would still program like your 6-12 week blocks, but then we would assess how the body felt on the day. And essentially if Jess wasn't in a position to run fast safely, then we wouldn't run fast because it's not worth that risk.
And do you know when it's not safe? Can you feel, is that a little niggle or anything?
Yeah, I mean, I'm ridiculous. I'm so hypersensitive of everything. And I'm like, oh God, I can feel my little toe.
Johnny Fisher, the boxer, I listened to him talk the other day, and he said he will know then there's something in his body when he needs to go, don't train.
Yeah. Literally.
Yeah. It's such a different world to amateur sport, isn't it? Because rugby, you go there, everyone's holding themselves together.
Yeah.
In all different sports. Yeah, the amateur world, just because they're not there to perform at that level. Obviously, you're there to have a laugh and a social, but at your level, it's listen to the body. Because that's when injuries happen, I suppose, isn't it? And that can cost you.
I mean,
exactly.
It's a fine line, isn't it? Because obviously, our bodies don't feel great all the time, especially like this stage of the year. We're like middle of winter training.
Yeah.
So like you're working hard and you're getting very little recovery in terms of days off, because we're training 6 days a week, sometimes twice a day. And so like you're not turning up to the track feeling fresh. So it's differentiating between being tired and the muscles being tired because you've got DOMs or whatever it might be, or actually having like an injury risk. It's fine to run on tired legs, but it's not fine to run if you've got an issue that needs resolving first.
Yeah. Do you run better times at a certain time in the day?
Oh,
To that level?
Yeah, I do personally.
That you're not very good in the mornings, are you? For
First thing in the morning,
sharp
no.
and snappy.
Yeah, but if you get to like 11 onwards, 11 till 4, I'd say is
I'm
my
not trying to tell
peak.
people where to target taking your wallet. Like that.
Yeah, don't do it then. Yeah,
Don't do it in the evening.
Yeah, that's dangerous. Yeah.
Saturday night's never got. It's very fast.
Only approaching morning.
So it is literally, yeah. And I suppose that's a massive thing when it comes to travelling abroad as well, isn't it? And competing abroad, because you have done, I'd say abroad, you was in the Commonwealth Games, Jess.
Yeah, not
You
quite
flew,
abroad.
you did fly there though. You said the other day. Where did you fly to?
Glasgow.
Big trip.
It was a big trip, but it did feel like you're going somewhere exotic almost.
Did you go the long way?
yeah, the whole way around. Yeah.
Can you tell us what sports was you doing then? Because it wasn't just the one then, was it?
No, I was doing the heptathlon, which
Heptathlon.
is 7 events, all track and field. Long jump, high jump, shot put, javelin, 200 metres, 800 metres,
Jessica
and the
Ennis
100-metre
stuff,
hurdles.
That one?
Yes, Jess Ennis, Denise Lewis,
Yes.
Katarina Johnson-Thompson,
Yep,
KJT.
most recent one.
Yes. So yeah, that's what I did when I went to Glasgow. Yeah, it was mad experience.
I remember watching it on TV actually. Yeah, it's brilliant, wasn't it?
Yeah, and I mean the whole lead up for me was like crazy, trying to chase that qualifying and and yeah, I remember that one of my opportunities was England champs at Bedford, and the weather was utterly horrendous that they had to stop halfway through because the wind and the rain was so bad. And then they were like, oh, it's okay, you can we went out and they was like, you can keep your jackets and stuff on to throw in. We're like, what is going on? Anyway, so needless to say, no one was doing brilliantly that weekend, and I only had one more weekend to try and get the qualifying for the Commonwealths.
That weather was preparing you for Glasgow, basically, wasn't it?
Lovely Scottish weather. And so, yeah, then I found a race out in Malaga, which
Sounds
slight
better.
contrast, yeah. So, yeah, went out there and expecting like perfect conditions, all this. Yes, conditions are beautiful. The track could like completely like eroded away. So you're putting your blocks in the floor. As you're driving out your blocks, your starting blocks, that is, they're shooting back. I was like nothing was going in my favour, purely because prior to the season starting, I had been knocked off my bike. I'd shifted my shin back and my knee was like literally hanging lax completely. So I had so much rehab for about 6 months, and then started getting back into things. We flew out to America for a training camp for a month. First session out there, I was so buzzing because I was like, right, finally going to get like my first running session, and did a shot put session first, fell out the front of the circle, sprained my ankle so bad, bruised all the way up to like halfway up my calf. I was like, and I was meant to race my first competition also whilst I was out there in America with everybody else. And I was just like, oh my goodness, like how can this possibly go so wrong so many times? Like someone does not want me to go there. Yeah. And then, yeah, so everybody else competed out there at the end of the camp. I'm there watching everyone qualify for commies and whatnot. Lovely experience that was. Cheering all my teammates on. And then, then when you actually get into the season do you think, oh, like I've actually made it. I'm now finally in shape. Then you've got like to contend with all the weather conditions, the track thing, the facilities and blah, blah, blah. But yeah, eventually made it on the start line, which was the most, because of the journey I had. I remember walking out for the very first event, the sprint hurdles, and I just burst into tears.
Did you? Yeah.
Yeah, it was so emotional. I never would have thought that would happen. But yeah, the crowd, like, I was just like, this is everything I've dreamt of. I've trained so hard and worked so hard, especially that whole year prior with the so many ups and downs. Yeah, it was just like the most crazy experience.
The noise of people.
Ever. Oh my
When you competed
goodness.
as well, was it just a different level of competing in terms of just the atmosphere?
Yeah, mad. Especially I remember the 800, which is the last event. And I was, just because, one, not being used to that many people in the crowd, the sound and everything, the adrenaline for it, you're spiking up and down more than ever. And I remember going into the second day, the last event of the 800. And I think it was about 9 o'clock at night. And I was like, I am exhausted. And normally I get a bit like no one in the heptathlon enjoys doing the 800. It is a long way.
After a lot of other exercises.
Yeah, exactly.
Events.
And normally I'm like quite quiet prior to the start of the race. And but as soon as that gun goes, light switches and I'm in it.
Yeah.
So that's all I was thinking.
Do you have to shut it off? It's literally shut off what's going on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But then when the gun went at the commies, nothing happened. And I was like, oh my God. So I got into it, and then there was this Australian girl that I had to beat. Otherwise, she'd go up in the rankings to me. And she got up on my shoulder with after the first 200 or 300, whatever it was. And that was it. Then the light switched and I was in the game. And for about 200 to go, I was like, oh my goodness, I've got so much energy. So I've started sprinting and I got onto the home straight. I was like, uh-oh. But then you hear the roar of the crowd and that was like, goes straight through you. It was like everything you'd ever wanted. And that just helps you so much.
Like, rock stars and even the big performing footballers, and they suffer because they can't get that hit of that dopamine of what gives them to be in front of that crowd.
Yeah.
Later in life, so they chase obviously.
Well, that's what I've really struggled with that.
Yeah.
Coming back into next season, I just couldn't get up for anything.
Yeah.
Like literally, I was just like, you're just flat.
There's not enough people here. Bring me people.
Yeah, more people, please. Yeah.
Jess Tappin's in town. So how did you do there? When did you finish off? Was you happy with your performance at the Commonwealth Games? What year was it?
2014.
I guess.
Yeah, no, really good. I finished 6th overall, which was really good.
Yeah.
Had some very dodgy long jump, but
Yeah, that was the difference between getting a medal and finishing
Did you
just
run
outside.
better times, longer distances, or did you perform better in the Commonwealth Games as you would have done in previous events with that crowd behind you of such?
Yeah, like that season I was doing
PBs.
really, really well, PBing all the time. I think the sprint hurdles was solid. High jump was was okay. What else? It was the long jump that let me down. I was down by like half a meter, which is massive.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that was it really for me. Everything else was pretty solid.
Yeah, I mean,
remember.
with the heptathlon, obviously, because you're doing 7 events across like 2 days,
Yeah.
it's such a quick turnaround. You don't always expect to do PBs at those events because a lot of your PBs come from events where you're just doing the standalone event. You know, so you might just go to an event and run a 200 or run an 800. So you can't really expect to beat your PB on a day where you've already done 3 events that day.
Yeah.
So I guess it's kind of like trying to stay at like 95% plus of your best level across all 7 events and making sure that there isn't 1 or 2 that's too weak. Am I right in saying that?
Yeah, no, you're right.
So the men don't do heptathlon, do they? They do
Decathlon. So 3 more events, 10 events total, 5 each day.
Yeah.
Across the 2 days. I haven't ever done that before.
Yeah. Dean Macy was the man, wasn't he?
He
was actually,
Local lad
Yeah.
back in the day.
Yeah.
He's Canvey Island guy, wasn't he?
Yeah, that's it.
Yep.
Yeah.
Did you train because you tagged him in something last week, didn't you?
I did not train with him, but yes, I did tag him in a picture at the award ceremony the other day.
Yeah, big picture of him at the Hall of
Hall
Fame
of Fame,
evening.
yeah.
Yeah. But no, we've had a lot of good multi-eventers, men and women, over the years in Britain. So we're obviously doing something right. The men's side has dropped a little bit in recent years.
Yeah.
But the women, I mean, we seem to always have a contender for like the Olympics or Worlds. So that's amazing on like a scale, like comparing to like the Americans and stuff.
The hunger for it is what I find fascinating. I can relate to. I know someone actually. It's Keith Bell, who I work for. My first groundworks job actually. And he used to train and compete against Dean Macy back in that. I'm not too sure what level, but it was in Essex. I know alone, and he was a decathlete, and he's now back into running really well. He's running, and he was so competitive at everything we done. And he used to go dig out of someone's garden, and it'd be like, we're digging this out by hand. We don't need a machine, so we do it by hand. And then you'd go to the roll van. It'd be like biggest on the menu. Who can take this down quickest? A cup of tea. Who could literally drink the biggest gulp of a cup of tea?
Is so
Everything
funny.
had a challenge to it, and it was just like it was brilliant. It was so we had such a good time with it, and then, like every day there was something else was going to be challenging, whether it be to do the job or whether food or drink or anything. But how do you? So when you're competing against, so Dan, what do you do on that one? What's your sport as such? Tell the audience.
I do the 400 meters is my main event. I've like dabbled in the 100 and 200 as well, but sort of found my calling at the 400, I guess.
Yeah.
I mean, it's been a lot of years in the sport. So this is actually my 20th season that I'll be doing athletics in 2025.
Yeah.
So yeah, been in it for a long time. Obviously become a coach, now coach others as well as coaching myself.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think this year is going to be my final year.
Yeah. Okay.
So yeah, try and go out with a bang really, because I feel like I'm not retiring because I'm no longer in shape.
Yeah.
I'm just retiring because I feel like the time's right.
Yeah, that's good, isn't it? It's good you had that choice, isn't it? Because it's sad when you don't get that choice, and when you hear about it, and it's literally people taken down too soon or something. How do you get it? Because I always had it at school. My athletics career, primary school was my heyday. District sports relay, and I remember the crowd. I remember coming around in school district sports day, and it was all the schools, isn't it?
It's so motivating, isn't it?
I'll never forget that roar of it. And I think we come second or third, and I can't remember if I was in the last 100 meters. I think I might have been second from last in the relay, because I remember coming round and it was like seeing everyone down the home straight.
Top bend, that's it.
Yeah, and I was just like, gee, and the noise, electric. It's very similar to the Olympics, I'm sure. But but how you get beaten at school? And it kind of, I feel like, I suppose that's where that fight and the hunger comes from. You think that person's faster than you, you accept they're faster than you. Do you get it where someone beats you and you go, I can have them. I could definitely have them, and I've just not performed. Do you know it's not them, it's you in a way? Would you get that? And have you had that over your career?
Wait, after the race, if someone?
Yes,
or
if someone picture and you know I've got a race in a few months' time, it'd be easy to think, oh, they're just faster than me. But do you have to mentally get in your head that I'll have him or her?
Yeah, I mean, I would say relating to that, like one of the biggest lessons we've learned is that the best way that you can beat someone is just by getting the best out of yourself.
Yeah. So you say, is it yourself?
Yeah, I think too many times for both of us, we know we're in the same race as someone else, so we're sort of fixated on, I know I can beat these, but I have to run really well or whatever it might be, and you sort of second guessing how they're going to run the race.
Yeah.
And as a result, you don't run your own race.
Yeah.
Like
Gotcha.
at the end of the day, like if Jess or myself ran the best race of our lives and we lost to them, then we would still be buzzing because we've just produced our best performance ever.
Yeah.
So like you can't do any more. You can't control what someone else is going to do, but you can control what you're going to do. Do you know what I mean? So like so many times we've lost to people rather than them beating us. Does that make sense?
Yeah, 100%.
So like we've lowered our game and they've just beaten us because of that, rather than raising our game. And then if they, at the end of the day, if they turn up and they just produce a better performance, but you both perform at the top of your game, then like athletics is a weird sport, because obviously in like rugby, football, team sports, like I used to play a lot of football when I was younger, and I hated the fact that I could play the best game of my life and lose.
Yeah.
Whereas athletics, like it's not like that. Like yes, you can lose technically, but the performance you put in is a win in itself, because it's like progress towards a bigger goal.
Such an important message in life, isn't it? I suppose, isn't it? Stop worrying about the other. It's like control the controllables sort of thing, isn't it? We said this before, didn't we? Yeah,
control the
controllables.
Yeah.
You can't. Yeah, it's so easy to get fixated on what they're doing, and I've been like it. I get a little bit competitive with a few things, especially in the construction world and in what we're doing, really.
And it is good to be competitive, though.
Yeah,
like you need that.
Yeah,
but like you said, control those controllables, because
you can, and you do, and I've been there. People run me up and say, Steve, I've just seen what you've put online. Christ, mate, you need to think about that. And I'm like, oh, well, is it come that too direct at someone else rather than just carry on doing what? And we've had it a lot with construction sport in terms of just carry on doing what we're doing. Yeah, we're not getting spotlight at the moment. We're not getting seen for this, and we're not getting backed by these people or them people.
Yeah, but
just keep on doing what you're doing, because it will be picked up eventually. And
of course,
that
it will.
persistence, and that now is people have realised we're quite persistent with it and we don't shut up. But that's, I suppose, again in life, isn't it? I've just watched Mr. McMahon. I finished it last night. I stayed up till midnight watching it. The Vince McMahon, WWE was WWF.
Yeah.
And if you look at competitiveness, and that man is ruthless with it.
Really?
And it's all about his dad. I'm going to kid it for everyone, but his dad that actually runs the wrestling empire in America. But it's all done like state by state. It's got a different one.
Yeah.
And the WWF as it was, is just one state. And then his dad, he's kind of taken over from his dad. And he's like, I'm going cross states now. And his dad's like, don't tread on other people's toes. He's like, no, we're going to be the best ever. And he's like, you're going to upset everyone. He's like, we're just going to do our thing and become the best. And he's like, and he goes for it. He's like, some of the decisions, you got to watch it. It's really interesting.
It's so American,
I loved
though,
it.
that.
Yeah. And he was just like, Ultron says, I don't care. We'll be the best. We're representing. This is what we do. And I love it because I've come away from it thinking we
just want to be the best.
Yeah. And I literally a hell of a lot listening to it going, there's things I've said this week, actually, and a few ideas we've got to tell you off camera. I've said, boys, we're doing this. Why is that? I said, because we need to do it. It's in my mind. We need to do it. And there's little things that just tell you, just worry about yourself, isn't it? Get the best out of you.
That's it. The moment you start focusing on other people and other things, I think that's a distraction in itself.
Yeah.
You're not. You need to just be tunnel vision on what your goal is, and solely that.
Yeah, and also like you're always likely to regret the things you didn't do rather than the things you do.
100%.
So like if you commit to something and it doesn't work out, it is what it is. You gave it a good go. Yeah. But if you didn't commit to something, then you sort of never know what the outcome would have been. So
definitely. Did you follow much of Ross Edgley online? Oh, he's the guy I mentioned who does swam around the country. Remember?
Oh,
that
yes,
guy,
yes.
Swam around the UK, yeah, incredible. But he said something.
Crazy.
He's just done a huge one. He swam for I think 50 odd hours or something like that. He'd done a few hundred miles swimming. I can't remember what distance it was. World record. He smashed it. He'd done it 3 times. Third attempt, he'd done it. But he said by completing it and winning, or completing that and getting the record, the past 2 failures have become lessons. And I was like, they're not failures. They're just lessons on the way. They're only failures if you stop. And I was like, how cool's that? And I was it means a lot, doesn't it? You kind of think, I can use that going forward. we've got because we've got plenty of failures behind us. No, the lessons.
Plenty of lessons. Yeah.
That's so good. So where's it going now then? So you guys is it competing? You're going to go next year, one last go. So what year is that? January to December? Does it work? How's it work?
Yeah, essentially, yeah. So obviously those who don't know athletics that well, you've got like an indoor season between January and March.
Yeah.
And this year I think we got the Worlds and the European Indoor Champs in March. So a couple of big competitions to
you got the crash pad at the end of the 100-meter run, isn't it?
Yeah. 60.
I like that.
60, yeah.
60 is it?
Yeah, and a few people go over it or under it, as you've probably seen videos of.
Yeah, see the under one.
Yeah, literally just falling into the abyss. Yeah, not the one. Yeah. And then outdoors starts like May through to September-ish, give or take, because the World Champs is in Tokyo in September this year.
Yeah.
So sort of this stage of the year from like September through to December, you're kind of building your base. You're getting quicker. You're essentially like you sort of assess the previous season, what went well, what didn't go well, and then you make a plan on how you're going to improve those things that didn't go to plan.
Yep.
And then once you've done that, you're building your base, you program it, and then you prepare for the season to come. Yeah.
Where does, if you don't mind asking, not personal questions, but where do the funding for athletes come from? Like yourselves, is that from the state as such, or the British Olympics, or where do you guys
Well,
do you have to pick up? We spoke to golfers in the past. It's very much like we have to find a big businessman who can just offload some money to us, basically, and support us.
Yeah, I mean, it is difficult in athletics, very difficult, because there's
quite
not
cutthroat, isn't it?
Yeah, there's not that level of funding. So National Lottery funds the top athletes, and by top I mean like subjectively top. Mm-hmm. So British Athletics sort of decide who they want to fund.
Pin up people.
Yeah, and it's kind of it's more based on, well, not more based on, but there's some basis on who you're coached by or where you're based. If you're part of the setup already with British Athletics, they tend to want to put money into you. Whereas if you're doing your own thing, coaching yourself
is not
in one of the like hubs of the UK, so like your Loughboroughs or like Brunel or Birmingham or whatever it might be, you're kind of sort of cast away and not really given a second thought. So it has been difficult for us. Like we don't get funding as such from the sport anymore, because a lot of the funding that comes in terms of like bursaries and grants and that are for athletes who are like 16 to 25 to help with their development.
Yeah.
But when you get to like senior age, you're kind of on your own.
I think that grant side, there's a lot of pressure on you then as well, isn't it, to perform, isn't it? Do you find? Does it give you a comfort blanket because you just get to do
having a grant?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not in that position. I haven't been. But I don't know about
I
you.
suppose,
But...
yeah, I suppose anything. I'm just thinking, I'm selfishly thinking from our side, actually, because we looked at grants from the charity side, but it's almost, if we'd done that, the grantee as such, or who's going to give us the grant, kind of like a business shareholder, kind of wants to take a hold of you a little bit and control you.
Control.
I suppose you guys can just do what you need to do.
Yeah, and I mean, we've just had to work, haven't we, alongside our athletics career the whole way through. I've been lucky with my athletics club. They support me, Thames Valley.
Yeah.
They've been brilliant. But apart from that, like, we're on our own, aren't we?
Yeah. Like with club athletics, like there's again very little money in it. There's a couple of clubs, fortunately, like Jess's clubs, Thames Valley, that have got sort of the funding behind them.
Yeah.
And maybe one or two other clubs in the whole country. But if you're not part of those clubs, you don't receive any money to compete for your club or do anything like that. So, I mean, yeah, like I suppose it's an extended hobby, but it sounds ridiculous that it's a hobby.
More and more like construction sports.
Yeah,
is that what it just is actually a hobby? Yeah. How can we find funding? Yeah.
Literally. So that's difficult, but I mean, if you've got the love for it, essentially, like we didn't want to retire from the sport thinking that we could do more.
You never want to look back and be like, oh, what if I could have done this? I could have done that. We wanted to go out and be like, this is what I could do. I did everything in my power to do the best I physically can. Exactly. Yep. I never, because the amount of people you speak to would be like, oh yeah, I used to do athletics. I could do this, I could do that. If I carried on. I never ever wanted to be that person. I just wanted to put all my eggs in one basket, do everything I could in my power, and be able to turn around at the end of the day and be like, yeah, I've done this, I've done that. And that's the best that I could physically do.
Do you find with the coaching, Danny, you're doing coaching now, do you coach athletes, professional athletes as such?
Yeah, well, I mean, Jess and I both coach an academy at Lee Valley in North London.
Yeah, I remember you mentioned that.
Yeah, so they're called the Southgate Bears, and they're brilliant. So they're 16 to 18-year-olds, so like not classified as like professional athletes by any stretch, but I mean they're talented guys. Like, it's a talented group. There's decent money put into them through their own college.
Yeah.
And then we're brought in as sort of experienced heads to help sort of nurture that talent.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's going really well. We've been doing that for a couple of years now. We've seen some massive progress in the athletes because essentially, again, we try and teach them the mindset. So obviously we program the sessions, which does what it does, like it does improve them, but it's the mindset around it, like sort of what they should be eating, how they need to recover, like even stuff like what they need to wear. Like, I think sometimes when you coach people from like the start of a sport, you don't realize how little knowledge they have. Like, Jess and I obviously been in the sport for a long time, so there's a lot of things we take for granted in terms of like what we know about the sport and how to get the best out of yourself. But a lot of the kids that we coach genuinely don't see why they can't wear Crocs when they're doing running drills. You know, like it's like, well, everyone's wearing Crocs.
Yeah, it's so true.
Yeah, they all turn up in their Crocs. You know what I mean? Like, and I mean,
he's winning in a pair of Crocs. What would he do in a pair of spikes?
Honestly, so we went to a competition in the summer that was you know, like the West Ham Stadium, the London Stadium. Yeah. So they used the warm-up track, which is right next to it, as a competition venue because the track's really fast.
It's brilliant.
It's a nice one. And yeah, this guy is warming up. He must have been probably like 18, 19. He's warming up, doing his like sprints in this pair of Crocs. So like, you know, like the red car, I forget what his name, Lightning McQueen or something like that. Yeah, so he's got a pair of those on. Yeah. And I mean, he's actually moving quite quickly. Like, fair play to him. But I'm just thinking,
is he strapped in?
What? Yeah, sports mode.
He was on sports mode. Thankfully, yeah. That was serious questions. Otherwise, if they were just hanging off the back. Yeah. But no, I mean, it's a whole different world now, and I feel like that's almost the reason why we're pretty much ready to call it a day, because the sport's constantly moving on, and like we're racing people now that are born in like 2005 and 2006. And do you know what I mean? Like, I was doing the sport in 2005, and these kids weren't even born, and now I'm lining up on the track next to them. Like, it sort of feels like you're overstaying your welcome.
The boys here, I literally speak about like a song will come like absolute tune. I've never heard of it. I'm like, what? DJ Luck and MC Neat. It's incredible.
Yeah, big throwback that. Big throwback.
It's mad. It suddenly makes you feel, because you guys, as you see, take for granted what you know. We see it. I see it as well in the groundworks. We're just digging holes, but then you see people come and pick a shovel up. How do you not know how to just pick a shovel up? And you don't realise, do you? You're the 10, 15, 20 years of learning. Yeah. When you think it's just
autopilot.
Yeah, autopilot.
100%,
sort of thing, isn't it?
100%.
Yeah. Incredible. But that's so rewarding. I suppose you must see it when you've got these athletes, these up and coming youngsters, and they start performing, not so much winning, obviously, but the beating their own records, isn't it? And it gives a lot of people hope as well in that world, doesn't it? Because when you've got these guys who are 16, it's a vulnerable age, isn't it? Really, when it's what
definitely.
path,
Yeah,
the influences around you, which ones you listen to.
I think so, and I think working with the guys at the at Bears is brilliant, isn't it? Because you don't want them on like getting up to no good, being on the streets doing this. I think it's a great hobby or whatever it is they want to get into. But the thing is with sprinting, like you need to be fast in whatever sport that you do.
Yeah.
So if we can help you get from A to B as fast as possible, and you want to go on and be a footballer, you want to be a rugby player, whatever it is, like we can help you. And that's why we started up with our other business, isn't it, with Limitless?
Yeah, I mean, we're not exclusive to athletics at all. Like, if anything, we like to help people from other sports because we like to show them how dangerous speed can be.
Yeah.
Because people think, like, you watch Premier League football and you think some of these players are fast, but then you put them against some bang average national athlete in the 100 metres and they get, like, absolutely smashed. You know what I mean? Like, someone like Mbappe wouldn't even make it to, like, the national champs semi-final in the 100 metres.
Yep.
That people think, like, you see all these videos, Mbappe's faster than Bolt because of this clocking. They've got him over like 2 metres of a football pitch. And it's just like the comparison is so.
I think there was one going the other way. So was it Carlton Lyles, the American sprinter, joined the rugby world and into sevens rugby, and it was just unbelievable. He just tore through people, and they put him up against Brian Habana, and everyone was like, "No, Brian Habana's definitely up there." It's like, and he just went. Woof.
Yeah,
it was unbelievable, wasn't it? And it's like this absolute cheat code.
That's it.
It's different. Yeah. Like people think that sort of 100 meters, for example, is just running as fast as you can, but there's such a difference between just running fast and sprinting.
Yeah,
like the technical elements to it is something that is overlooked, which I understand that, of course, because you kind of just think to run my fastest, I just need to move my arms and legs as quick as possible.
Yeah.
But there's definitely...
People don't realise how your arms come into it, do they?
A lot of people don't,
before, so to get your arms and all this. I was like, really? I want to run with my legs, surely.
Yeah, I know, yeah.
Mate, generate the power
absolutely
from down there.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's incredible. Was you always a sprinter as a kid as well? Was you as fast as at school?
I was a footballer until like my mid-teens.
Was you a fast footballer?
Yeah. I mean, that's how I got into it. I was playing like up front and like I said, it was a bit of a cheat code because you just get so many chances. I wasn't the best finisher, but I might get 10 chances a game and score 3. Yeah. So you walk away with a hat trick.
Long ball, Dan's there.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. That's it. Like boot the ball long and I'm probably going to get there. Yeah. I remember one time I actually got given offside for a ball that I'd played to myself. So I'd kicked the ball past the last line of defence and the liner had given me offside because he thought someone else, it needed VAR back then, but Sunday League, not known for that. So my parents said to me, look, like, we think you should try out a running club.
Yeah.
So I joined a club called Blackheath and Bromley. Which weren't far from where we lived at the time. And I suppose the rest is history. Like you join there and it's quite humbling at first because you go straight in against people who are actually sprinters rather than just fast runners. So you do get like put away and like you sort of, it's like, wow, maybe I'm not as fast as I thought I was.
And the fight starts.
Yeah, well, that's it. Like, I think you go one of two ways. Like you think, right, this isn't for me because I've gone from winning everything at school and on the football pitch to suddenly I'm losing to these guys I don't even know.
Yeah.
Or you'd be like, right, I need to start beating these guys. And that's sort of the approach I had. Like one by one, I would start picking off these guys in my training group. Like not in just in a competitive way, you know, like you get slightly closer to them on training reps.
Yep.
And then like before you knew it, these guys were actually a lot better than you thought, or they was like a lot older. Yeah. So therefore their development was a lot further ahead of yours. And then you find yourself like competing nationally quite comfortably.
Yeah.
Is
there trash talk in that world? And if so, is it just the Americans? People like the competition. I suppose everyone's got their different. There's always people.
Yeah, I think weirdly, when I was doing multis, it was nice. It was
respectful.
Very respectful. I think because you're spending the weekend together, like there's a lot of camaraderie and everyone's cheering each other on throughout. So then when I went from heptathlon to the 400-meter hurdles, I was not prepared. Like it. Yeah, it is a weird one. I remember I did the England champs and we had the heats on the Saturday, the final on the Sunday. And no one really knew me as a full hurdler. I was this heptathlete. And came in, I won my heat. And the next day turned up to the final and I was like, hiya, how are you? Like, did you get caught in that traffic? Or whatever it was, the conversation I was having with these girls. Everyone was looking at me like, why are you talking to me? who is this girl? And I was just so used to just like having a nice chit chat. And yeah, no, it wasn't that atmosphere apparently. But yeah, I went on and I won the England champs at the first attempt. And the girl that came second didn't even turn up at the podium. She was raging.
Oh.
Yeah. And to this day, this was.
You're on the phone to her. Hello, darling, coming along.
Yeah. Oh my God, how embarrassing. It's so bad. But yeah. And then, she's never spoken to me really since. So,
super.
And that was probably 8 years ago as well.
Yeah,
Put
not
it in
great.
context. Like it is
She's
weird
still
in that
bitter.
respect. You get some people who like they want to see other people do well, and they like obviously because like we mentioned earlier, like essentially your success is entirely dependent on you.
Yeah.
It's not dependent on someone else.
Absolutely.
But then you get the other people who they don't want anyone else to do well, just themselves.
Yeah.
And if they don't perform, then they want everyone else to do terribly. Whereas,
but I think that can be quite a girl's mindset.
Your words, not mine.
Yeah, but
Cut me out that one.
No, but I do think it is different between the girls and the boys.
Yeah, like the guys, there's like that respect that everyone's on the grind together.
Yeah.
So like, do you know what I mean? If I don't have my best day, but one of the guys I'm racing runs a personal best, then I'm really pleased for them.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, well, you know what? That's what I wanted to do today, and they've shown that it's still possible.
Absolutely.
So if anything, do you know what I mean? It's a positive all round.
It's decent to be respectful, isn't it? It feels good.
Yeah,
doesn't it?
absolutely.
You know,
Yeah.
And like none of us find it easy training. Like everyone's in the same boat. Everyone's pushed themselves and been on this graph together. So yeah,
the thing with that as well, because I'm for it, even though we run a mental health and wellbeing charity. If you spot that in someone, that's a massive weakness, and if they're getting bitter, because we done it at golf a little while ago, and one of the lads walked off the golf course, literally bullied him off the golf course, and he's in my 4-ball, and I was pretty much responsible as the head of the mental health charity. But he straight away, but he was taking so long. Like to do everything, and I was like, "Are you coming or not?" And I was just, and then he hit. Then the next one, I went, "You must be panting now. You've been in that bush, like running around the bushes. Come on, just hurry up, hurry up, hurry up!" And it had gone. And on the 17th, he spent a bit of time zigzagging and looking for his ball. And then on the 18th tee off, went, "Where is he?" And he was halfway down the fairway, just walking back to the club. And he's like, "I've had enough. Went straight up to his room.
No.
Yeah, they put toys out the pram.
No. Oh,
and
no.
Everyone was like, "Do you think he's all right?" I was like, "He'll be fine. He'll be fine. I know him. I know him quite well." So I was like, "He'll be fine." And I can judge that personality sometimes. I know people, and you think, "I think he's all right." I'm sorry, I hope he's all right.
Please
and then
be all
I just keep, and he weren't there at the end for a beer, and I thought, we're staying here tonight, and I've driven here, and he's coming with me, so he's got to come down, and we're a long way across the country. And then after, I just messaged a picture, sent it to a picture saying "love you," and sent it to him. And then an hour later, he's like, "Where are you? I'm coming for a beer." He called out, and he was fine. But in my head, I'm like, any time I play you now, I'll compete against you. I'm just gonna annihilate you.
Yeah, well, that's it. Like you know his breaking point. You know how to push him. Yeah, that's it. Like just attack. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think you see it. If anyone, people lose their head, and it's an easy one in rugby or football. As a team, when we went out, we had a football match a little while ago, and I won't say the companies and the people, but there was a player due to be playing on the other team who knocked us for a little bit of money a few years ago, and all of our team was made aware that there's a £50 bonus going on for any decent tackle that makes this guy lose his mind. And he actually didn't turn up to the game and play, but it was like we said years ago, like we'll get our money back one day in one way, shape, or form. And his name was on this team sheet. It was like, oh, this is it.
Excellent.
And he bottled it. It was just like, we're going to go there. Just let everybody go at different angles. I shouldn't be talking about this victimisation and stuff, should I? But it's competitiveness, isn't it?
Yeah, of course.
I'm quite good at the competitive stuff, but then I'm very good at knowing when I haven't got anything left. And I know when to go, yes, enough, Steve. Maybe not so much with drinking, but and my wife will back that up. But it's literally to the point of, right, yeah, he's just better than me. And knowing that, I think. And I've trained with you guys. I mean, you annihilated me very quickly. And made me feel
But you do
sick.
push yourself.
Yeah,
and that's brilliant.
Yeah, give it a go.
Exactly.
I'm going to need to push myself now, exercise-wise, more.
But it's good to see that. And that's what we like. We love working with people that want to push themselves, I guess, don't they? Like, they want to get as much out of themselves as possible, because we've worked with a lot of different people now, and I feel like it is a massive mindset thing. Like, physically, yes, pushing yourself is one thing, but your brain's telling you that's enough, I can't do any more. But you know that you can do.
Yeah.
So, or your body can do so much more. you know what I'm trying to say?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
and it's trying to get past that boundary, get over it. And honestly, you do so well at that.
Do you
pushing through
do
it?
much with that flow state, as they call it? Is it flow state? Get in the flow state?
Yeah.
Yeah, I love the idea of it, and I've been in it before. I saw a therapist 5-6 years ago and spoke to them, and they literally went through these breathing techniques for me and all this kind of stuff. And I was like, this is really interesting, and kind of adopted it and got on with it. Didn't put it to sport or exercise at all. It was just for my own head.
Yeah.
And then I went for a jog for an hour, and I can go out and run 60 minutes quite easily. I'll do it all the time. Very slow, but I'll just trot along for an hour. I'm happy with that.
Yeah.
And I got to an hour, and I went, I've actually feel like I could carry on. I'm just going to do it, just see what it's like. I've never ventured into the second hour. Yeah. And then I run the second hour quicker. My second 60 minutes was quicker than my first 60 minutes.
Wow.
And I was listening to this breathing techniques, what they told me. And I was like, and then only years later that I looked at someone about flow state. And I was like, oh, that must have been something I was in there where you just shut off and then your body just, but then when you come out of that, it's hard to go back in. Is that something you guys have dealt with in flow state? Is it a short burst, I suppose, of it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I mean, yes, we do, don't we?
Yeah,
but
100%, yeah.
Not to the length of time that you do.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't run for very long.
Yeah, but it's just being able to do it, to apply it to your own sport, really. And that's another thing that with age we sort of picked up. Like
I wish I knew that.
Yeah, 5-10 years ago, if we would have known that, it would have been a weapon.
Yeah.
Like, but say when we're doing the 400 meters or 400 meter hurdles, it's so important to be able to like detach your mind from your body.
Switch off.
Just your body knows what it's doing because that's you train so that when you get to a race, you don't need to think about it.
Yeah.
So like essentially think of training as the time that like your revision time.
Yep.
And then the race day is the exam. Like you've got all that knowledge prior. You're not going to learn anything new from doing the race on race day. That's just where the results come out.
Yeah.
So whatever you've done beforehand is in the bank, and now it's about the best way to just let that happen naturally.
Was there much training on the mental side when you were back 10, 15 years ago?
None.
Yeah.
None.
It's crazy, isn't
like
it?
people neglect it massively. And that's something that now we're coaching the younger kids. We're trying to instill into them. But it's not easy, is it? Because they do struggle to understand where we're coming from. But equally, when we were 16 to 18, we would have struggled with it as well. Because people, honestly, they just think like, as long as I'm pushing my body and like I'm laying on the floor at the end of a training session, I'll keep progressing.
Yeah.
But if you're not doing it in the right way and you're not like mentally, you're not zoned in on like what your goals are and why you're doing this session.
Understanding why,
Yeah, that's what I think. Yeah.
So the next 10, 15 years of world records and PBs will probably be because this world of mental game has come into it, really, I suppose, isn't it? And that's what's going to take it to the next level.
It's a massive benefit, isn't it? I think like just getting those different parts, opening those different
like I say, if you know it now, getting the youngsters to program, and we get that and we say about it all the time, it's got to be go back to the school level, childhood, bring it into the curriculum. People understanding the mindset, isn't it? It's like,
100%.
if you can't lift that, it's because you're not strong enough. But if you put your head in the right place, you might get there and do it. But don't just give up because that is just put your head into it.
It's so easy to just give up.
Well, and I think as well, like the human body is like, it's very little difference at like elite level. So at the very top level, everyone's physical ability is about the same.
Yeah. So
like you're talking like hundredths of seconds in our sport or wherever it might be. But it's the mental side which makes up for such a large part of who's going to win or lose the race. Like, so did you watch 100-meter final at the Olympics?
I did, the American one.
So Noah Lyles won it by like a thousandth of a second, right?
Because he lost the 200.
So he won it by like a thousandth, and that's like nothing. You can't even see that to the naked eye.
Third was mad, wasn't it? Fourth as well, was it?
But yet he was always going to win that race.
Really?
Like, and people were like, well, how can you say that when he won it by like less than the width of a vest? It's like, because he knew he was going to win it, and everyone else in the race knew that he was going to win it.
Yeah.
Like you can tell when someone backs themselves and like they're just going to find a way to win.
Yeah.
Even if they cross the line, they're not even sure if they won. They have won. Like, and like the Jamaican lined up, and like he's maybe more talented at the 100 meters than Noah Lyles. But Lyles was just going to do whatever he needed to do.
Bouncing, didn't he?
Yeah, exactly. And he just came through the pack and he took it. And it was really fine margins. It might have gone a different way on another day, but it just didn't. When it mattered, the mindset wins. And I think that's like a really important message.
What have the Jamaicans got, and the Americans, because they're just up there as much, but why is it they're so good at sprinting? I suppose it's the same you'd say Brazil were good at football. What is it? Is it in their DNA? Is it in just their legacy of the last 20, 30, 40, 50 years.
Well, I
So,
mean, yeah, there's probably a few reasons. There was actually a
genetics.
documentary like a while ago with Michael Johnson.
Was it? Yeah.
So he was a 400 meter and 200 meter world record holder from America.
Yeah.
I think America, just because there's such a large amount of people, the population's so vast that
and the facilities out there, the money that they pump into it makes such a difference as well.
yeah, well, their collegiate
weather.
system, yeah, like that. So you go to a college game of like American football, and it's like going to like the World Cup. The attendances they'll get like 50,000 people for a college game.
Yeah.
Well, we
And it's
can't
just
even
like-
get that for a British Champs or.
No, exactly, yeah. So like being involved in those
Olympic
elite
trials.
atmospheres from like a young age obviously helps nurture. The fact that they've got so much money in sports and pumped in.
Yeah.
And the Jamaicans, I think it's more of a genetic thing, to be honest. I think just so your body's made up of like fast twitch muscles, slow twitch muscles.
Yep.
And Jamaica, when this study was done, like Jamaica was one of the countries that had like the highest percentage of natural fast twitch muscle fibers.
Really, yeah.
So like pretty much most people on the islands could run fast if they put their mind to it and actually trained to be an athlete.
Yeah.
And that's why you see such like large success in such a small population, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's incredible, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah.
Then there's no fast twitch muscles around my way then. That's for sure.
Mate, you're quicker than
Yeah,
you give
you're
yourself
way
credit.
quicker than
When we
you-
was doing the running, you were motoring, to be fair.
It was my quote. So the other day, actually, I scored. I'm not sure if I told you about it. I scored a football match the other day. And so I didn't actually think I was going to get there. I was out. I was done. I went to spring up at the end to celebrate, and I didn't spring up. Just kind of fell over. Everything went into that dash.
Oh, that is so
Second
funny.
place in the school sports day last year.
Yes, I heard about this.
Popped me groin at the end.
Ooh.
Yeah, 60-metre uphill dash. I'd done 2 hours in the van to Heathrow, then 2 hours back, and then sat on the side of the kids the racetrack with an ice cream on the floor for an hour. Then got up and done the 60-metre dash, and then wondered why my groin went. But that again comes to prep, doesn't it? Is there like a set time? Because we say this in terms of your warm up and stretches. I know you've said, Jess, before we spoke about people aren't warming up enough, and it's crazy, and they expect at high level sport as well.
Absolutely. I think,
Especially in the
I mean, with us, like, our warm up is long. Like, how long did you
Yeah.
say we warm up for? Hour and 20?
Yeah, before we're ready to like start the session fast,
Still
we'll be
up.
an hour and 20 at the track before.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which for, I know, even speaking to my parents about it, they'll be like, what? Wait, what can you possibly be doing for like an hour and 20, hour and a half, whatever it may be? And, but we've worked with like rugby players, footballers, and we'll talk to them like, and high level, elite level.
Yeah.
And we're like, right, talk to us. Tell me like, what you do for a warm up? I'll do like 5-10 minute kickabout, and then pretty much get into it. I'm like, what?
Yeah.
Like, how? We warm ourselves up, get your heart rate going, blah blah blah. But it's all about your activation. Like, you want every muscle group to be working, and no wonder so many people get injured.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? It like.
You are taking the next warm up on the rugby match, by the way. I thought about this the other day. Actually, we need you to take the warm up.
Oh my God, I'm all over it.
yeah,
Sold.
definitely.
Oh,
Yeah, you'll love that. You'll love that.
literally.
But we do look at the culture, like the Asian culture, like Japan and China. People send us
Yeah.
construction sites of people warming up in the morning before they work, and it's like they've got a group of massive builders, all
Yeah.
just like doing yoga or stretches in the morning, and like it makes so much sense. They're about to go and lift steel and move bolts and heavy stuff around
No
for the next
brainer.
6-7 hours. And we said it's about the hydration. So our hydration campaign, little plug.
Love it.
We said about like construction workers are exercising for 7-8 hours a day, if not more. 12-hour shifts are not shy of the, but none of them really drink much water. Like, you wouldn't be on your feet exercising for that amount of time without actually hydrating yourself. What's like the crazy world. But with the now, I'm saying to guys that we actually realise, not saying you got to sit there and do a warm up, but just think about your body first thing in the
Yeah,
morning.
for longevity.
Yeah.
Like,
I'd be interested to see, you'd probably see the stats in the amount of construction workers putting their backs out, and
Yeah.
guarantee it's within the first hour or two.
Yeah, I was
But
literally just about to say about back issues, like the amount of back issues that could probably be resolved if they just warmed up.
Yeah.
Because then they'll just go in cold, they'll try and pick up something moderately heavy,
Yeah.
and that's it. They just feel something go.
that's
Yeah.
it. Yeah,
and,
yeah.
it just can all like obviously technique aspect as well. Like if you know how to lift stuff properly.
Yeah.
But it's like it's an education thing, isn't it? And like warming up and lifting correctly is all part of that.
Yeah. So I said last week at the rugby, didn't I? I said, you warmed up? I was like, yeah, I put the heater on in the seat. I drove
Oh
it.
my God.
To be fair, we do that. We bought a car recently and we made sure they had heated seats.
Yeah.
We thought, you know what, when it gets to the winter,
Helps you warm up.
yeah, the hamstrings are nice and warm when you get to the track. Like
Yeah.
it does help for sure. Yeah.
The how was your first experience of construction sport rugby?
Oh my gosh, I loved it. It was absolutely brilliant.
You're now our physio. You're physio, on-site doctor,
Hilarious.
nearly surgeon.
Oh my gosh, yes. It was so funny how many people needed taping.
Yeah.
Prior to the game. Yeah, I'm not like qualified in taping, I'd say. I mean, I know from strapping my own ankles and stuff in the past. Yeah, but when people were coming over to me, can you just quickly tape my shoulder? I was like,
The maintenance of that team. I said to the guys before, I said to them that Jess is coming to be an on-site physio. If you need taping, go on YouTube and look at taping someone else. And on the day, all pick a partner and you can tape each other and leave Jess alone, basically. So I thought you're just going to get soaked up with time. Got 50 blokes with half-hour warm-up, enough to literally get taped up. It's bonkers. It says the boys, just turn the heater on.
Oh, that is so funny. But no, it was absolutely brilliant.
You were there for the full day, wasn't it? The full experience.
Yeah, I did. Absolute full experience. And I thoroughly enjoyed it.
Yeah.
Everyone was such a laugh.
Yeah.
Minus the old collarbone.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. William
R.I.P.
Dalton. Collarbone. Be back in the game. He said if I could play in 2 weeks, Steve, I'd be back in the game. So don't worry about me. He's literally so keen.
My
so
God,
it just
he's brilliant.
we get a few broken bones across games, and we've had it at football matches as well. We're like, it's part and parcel of it in a certain way. You just got to try and
warm
be
up
that
though.
person. Warm up will help it.
It will definitely help it. Activate all those muscles.
Yeah. So that's it. It was a good day. We've had some brilliant reports. We put a feedback survey out to all the guys this week about it, and we got one of the guys said, Steve, I walked to a scrum with another lad, and we were both talking about our therapists and their heads because they've both been a bit of dark times over the years. And, I was like, there is the feed. Like people, this is telling lads, we didn't really mention. Okay, I spoke at the end, but we didn't. We don't create this atmosphere for people to come and start bleeding their hearts out and say talk. I know we mention it in the talk later. But that day is about just getting people realising we're here for a laugh.
Absolutely. And I think that's it. It's all about enjoying it, it's socialising with people. And if you want to talk about your bits and bobs, then absolutely. I know when Martin was speaking, I thought that was
incredible, wasn't he?
Yeah, absolutely. It was emotional.
The brick makeover. Have you got him on Instagram yet?
Yeah, of course
brick
I do.
makeover. It's cool, isn't it?
Yeah, and he's weirdly really good mates with one of my friends from Loughborough, Mark Dyer.
Yeah, I was going to say, was he at Loughborough? Has he done something with Loughborough in the past?
I actually don't know, but that half. Probably. Maybe that's how they know each other.
Bricks. Bricks outside. Because he played England schoolboys rugby back in the day. So he was a high level athlete. And he mentioned it on the pitch. Did you notice? He said to everyone, these guys didn't realise how good I was at scrumming. And everyone on the sideline was like, who's this dick? Claiming how good he is. Next thing you know, balls come up. He's going to catch it, completely missed it, dropped it.
No.
I think he even fell over. Or he was on the floor and he was like, I can't believe that. And I was like, you absolutely annihilated yourself.
You can't give it a talk and then back it up with that, can you?
The Irish boys annihilated on the side going, I won't say the words, but we're used towards it.
Yeah, fair.
He completely warranted it. But no, thanks for coming along. Dan's going to be the next one. You're both going to run the warm-up.
Love it.
You're training with my sister soon, aren't you? You're taking her for a little run?
She wants to do a track.
Yeah.
She wants to do a bit of track running.
We'll put her through it. If you want to come, mate, feel free.
100%. We do need to do an Olympic day.
Oh, my God. Absolutely. Let's sort it out.
More of a construction school sports day. You know what I mean?
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. Throw a few hurdles in there as well.
Cool,
we could get like a run, definitely. Jump, throw and a hurdle. And then we could point score it and see who comes out on top overall.
Wouldn't it be great?
Idea.
Yeah. We've got millions of people in our industry and we're dying for sport to be pushed more now. I've got serious conversations going on with news that we've just heard. I go too bleak on it, but suicide last week. And I wrote to these people last night and just said, none of you are supporting what we're doing. Yeah. And we've got clear evidence we're saving lives now. It's as clear as that. It's not trying to blow a trumpet too much, but I thought, sod it, we're going to now because we have got written evidence to show people are saying you've done it. I'm like, until you guys get behind the idea of sport in any way, you're not going to save everybody. I get that. There's always going to be people out there who don't get it or make a decision they can't reverse. But at the same time, it's a case of we can save a lot of people, help so many, isn't it? And just do that. And the game last week's done it. The treks we've done have proved it. And it's all sport. And we're all inspired by you guys, you athletes out there.
No, but it's amazing what you're doing, Steve, honestly.
Yeah, incredible. Incredible.
So fantastic. And we're glad to help be a part if any way possible.
Absolutely, yeah. Anything, yeah.
Get out there. Thanks, guys. Thanks for coming on.
Thanks for having us.
We're doing quite well with the timings, aren't we? The conversations are flowing. I'm not stumped too much. Son of a cab driver. That's what it is. I can chat.
Genetic.
Yeah. Thanks, guys.
Thank you very
Thank
much.
you.
Thank you.
It all sounds weird again. Sounds normal.